What's up, guys? Welcome back to Corvette Weekly. I think you know the spiel by now, but this is the show where you can tune in every week to kind of hang out with other Corvette people, talk Corvette stuff, maintenance, ownership, news, speculation, everything Corvette. So this is the on week with Brandon and David. So we got David from DBM Racing, Brandon from Brand's Garage. Of course, you guys are probably relatively familiar with them by now. They've been on the show for a couple months now, and they are on every other week. So trying to keep things kind of fresh. We're going to have an interesting guest coming up very soon. I haven't quite pinpointed exactly when I'm going to have him on, but it is somebody that most of you guys will know. He brings a pretty interesting perspective to this because he is more so older Corvettes. So if you have a C7 or older, this guy is going to be the guy you
Nice.
want to see. So I know a lot of the stuff we talk about here on the show is the newer stuff, and I get a lot of people asking a lot of times, can we talk about a C6? Can we talk about a C7? And I would love to talk about those cars. There's just not a lot to talk about as far as maintenance is concerned. I feel like I've really beat that horse to death with my ZR1. So we will do a little bit of talking about this once we have this guy on, though. So stay tuned for that. But before we get started, guys, as usual, the sponsor of today's show is the NCM Insurance. Again, check out the links in the description down below. Click on the link, run through the setup procedure for the insurance, and see if it will save you some money. Step number 5, you're going to want to put in that you heard about us from Horsepower Obsessed, and that will give you the best possible rate. Now, at Corvettes of Carlisle this past year, actually a couple weeks ago, I found out that the one of my subscribers there that actually talked to NCM Insurance saved an additional $200 just by mentioning my name.
Nice.
So you're gonna
Nice.
want to mention you got this off the Horsepower Obsessed YouTube channel in step number 5, and yeah, save some money. While you're down there, check out the way to win the Z06. You can win a C8 Corvette Z06 by clicking on that link. You get an extra 50% entries for the same cost just because you clicked on the link from the Horsepower Obsessed YouTube channel. That's my spiel for tonight. Let's take a look at who we have in here. Obviously, we got Brandon right there, and we got Brandon right here. Sorry, this is all backwards. Brandon's here, David's here.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's weird. I just
Yeah.
noticed that.
So yeah, David, of course, rocking the Horsepower Obsessed shirt. Gotta love it. This man is these guys both are just awesome. Awesome people. Okay, so who do we got in here? We do have Shane in here. He's taking a break from work, it looks like. That's awesome, Shane. Welcome.
Welcome,
Um,
Shane.
Kevin Horan. We got Professor Corvette. Whip Reynolds. What's up, Whip? It's been a little while. He says, hi, Amber, Justin, and of course, the Shanester. Of course, you can't leave him out.
Nope.
Let's see. D's Rides. What's up, D. Anthony? He finally got his anti-gravity battery today. How about that? So, guys, if you haven't seen it, there was a 20% off coupon for Labor Day, which is the most percent off I've ever seen anti-gravity offer. My coupon will get you 10% off. Usually they offer 15% off for holidays, but 20% was unreal. So I told D'Anthony about it because I knew he was having a little bit of battery issues with his car. I said, grab this thing for 20% off. You're not going to see this kind of discount again. So I'm glad that he did, because I'm telling you, D, you're going to love this thing. It is incredible how much a battery makes you excited. When you pick up the old one out of your car and you put in the new one, and you feel the weight difference right off the bat, you're like, man, this thing is legit. Brandon, I know you have one.
Yeah, and actually, I left which I didn't think this was even possible on our cars. So I still don't know what actually ran the battery dead, but I had my battery actually go dead when I had that installed. And then I went initially the remotes. It comes with like two remotes, so you can use it kind of like
The jump start.
activate basically the reserve battery pack. I
Yeah.
guess they must have a separate battery pack, or it somehow conditions different part of the battery. Anyways, long story short, it actually saved me because I was able to start the car after it was already dead, in order to get it back started and get it moved and stuff. Because otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do that because it went completely drained, 100% dead. And so that kind of was very helpful if you're stranded somewhere. Just being able to hit a
Yeah.
button, you can, and if you don't have your remotes, what's also cool is it's got a little button on the battery itself, which actually I prefer the little button on the battery, but sometimes you can't get into the front, and so
Right.
then the little remotes are helpful, to carry with, and they're actually really nice. The remotes are.
Yeah, they're interestingly built because it's not like a cheap, junky little thing. It feels like a quality key fob. So you're supposed to keep it on like your key ring or whatever, so you can always
Right.
have that ability to hit that. So the big thing with it is you don't really need to plug it in to a battery tender over the winter time anymore. Um, my ZR1, and this is sad. This is really sad to say this, but my ZR1 has been sitting now for almost a year, and when I go down to start it, I'll film it, but I guarantee you it starts immediately. And that is not on a battery tender. It's just sitting there, and I bet you it starts immediately. I won't even have to hit the reserve button. The batteries last. They have such a longer shelf life, so it's nice to know you don't have to mess with the battery tenders anymore, because that's kind of a confusing thing. But anyway, yeah, the anti-gravity batteries, 20, you drop like 20 pounds right off the bat. They're super high quality. They're going to last you like 12 to 14 years or something. I think they're warranted for 10. A normal battery is like 3 to 4 years typically in a car like this, if that. And you're plugging it into a battery tender all the time, and it pays for itself in the long run.
Which one, Justin? You went with the bigger amp hour one, right?
Yeah.
I'm just curious if D's if he went with the smaller one, because I want somebody that's gone with the race version to kind of chime in. I'm just curious because that's the one I really wanted because it's the most weight saving. So I'm
Yeah.
just curious how well
Which
that
one did
works
you
on
get,
like
Brandon?
the day to day. I went the mid grade. It was like there's like a
20?
10, 15, and there's a 20. I think I went the 20. So
Okay. So say that
mine was 800
it's
and some
race.
dollars or something like that.
Yeah, it's race 20, 40, and 60, I believe.
Okay, so I did 40. That would have been the one.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's over there in a box. I'm so bad. It's been there forever. I say that like every other line.
I
I'm
know.
like, I have to do that, but I forget about it all the time, dude.
I don't know how you can sleep. I literally wouldn't be able to fall asleep knowing that I had that many things in my garage that need to go in the car.
Well,
Uh,
between both cars, it's a lot to keep up with.
and we got Sam in the house. He says, "Sup, DBM Racing in Brandon's garage and Justin. What's going on, man? It's nice to see you
What's
on
up, Sam?
here." Kevin
Yeah,
Orhan's in the
buddy.
house. Ollie says,
Grand
"Justin,
Poobah.
David, and Brandon. I went back through my watched videos of you all and tried to thumbs up the ones I missed. That's awesome, Ollie.
Thank you, buddy.
That is a
Yeah, thank
fantastic
you.
thing to do."
Thanks a lot.
So, guys, as usual, we're going to try to hit 100 thumbs ups by 8 o'clock, which is 20 minutes from now. And we currently have 42. So let's smash the thumbs up button, get to 100 in the next 20 minutes. And then, of course, the next challenge is another half an hour to get another 100. We like to end these things with about 200 if we can. We're going to be talking a lot about maintenance tonight. We've already started off with some rehearsed, I guess, talk about the anti-gravity battery, because it is a really cool thing to add to your car. It really does help with maintenance. So Seawolf06 is in here. He says, "Hey Shane, Maria and Coco say hi." That's awesome.
Yeah.
Coco is one of those dogs, man. You guys remember them from the show with the little
Yep.
dog that was you can't pet
Yep.
him. You can't pet him
Nope.
because he will bite you. Or it might be a girl, I guess. I think it's a girl. I can't remember now. But it's a cute dog and you want to pet it, but it will not let you. Let's see. Must discuss 25 production starting today and configurator being delayed. So that is where we were going to start, Professor Corvette. Let's go ahead and
Yep.
start with the fact that yes, 2025 production actually starts tonight. It probably already has at this point, but 2025 production is started. Now that is your C8 Corvette Stingray, Z06, and E-Ray, not a ZR1. There's no ZR1s being built yet, but everything else 2025 has started. And yes, Chevy has delayed the rollout of their build and buy configurator until September 24th. It was originally supposed to come, I think, today or tomorrow, but they delayed it to
Yeah.
the 24th. So over at the Corvette blogger, we can find the information we need here. So basically, they are in fact delayed until it was September 10th. So tomorrow is when it was supposed to be. It's pushed back now till the 24th. Very interesting. I can't really comment on exactly why they would be delaying this, but I don't know that they've ever delayed one of these before. So I'm kind of curious. Now, obviously, there's not a whole lot of new stuff here. In fact, the majority of the things you're going to find on the configurator are actually things that have been removed, because there's a bunch of
Right.
colors that have been removed. But
Right.
I'm kind of curious now as to what the delay's about.
Hmm.
Shane says we got 59 thumbs ups currently, guys. Let's rock those thumbs ups. Let's get up to 100 in the next 18 minutes. Let's see. C8 Nate says I saw a dealership post a 25 E-Ray for sale on Marketplace today. That's cool.
Wow.
That's interesting. That must have been an allocation because none of them are out yet.
Right.
I am seeing some decent prices on E-Rays pop up though on the marketplace. MSRP pretty much seems to be a little bit more the norm, and somewhere maybe a hair below.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if Doug's in here or not, but you guys met Doug at the Carlisle, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually bought an E-Ray, brand new, rapid blue, pretty well spec'd from what I can tell. He didn't spec it. It was just on the showroom floor, and they gave it to him. I think he said 7K under.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's one of the best deals I've heard.
Well, I mean, he's
Yeah, I don't think
also
I've heard a deal that good. That's amazing.
he's also one of those guys that you don't argue with. You just
Give him what he wants.
You just do it. So
Yeah.
obviously he got a really good deal, but at the same time, those deals aren't impossible to find. I've seen a couple E-Rays out there for the lowest one I've seen personally on Facebook Marketplace actually was 4,000 under.
Mm-hmm.
Still an expensive car. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the prices of these things are through the roof, but for 4,000 under MSRP for a brand new car, it's pretty good.
Especially a relatively high demand
Especially
car,
when
too.
it's only been delivered, what, 1,000 of them or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I don't know if it's even hit 1,000 yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Mr. T says, will the Zora be a 26 as well? As of right now, there's not really any rumors suggesting what the Zora is going to be. Everything we thought we knew about the Zora ended up kind of going out the window whenever the ZR1 came out and had 1,000 horsepower anyway. So there's not much left of the leaked document in the beginning that showed horsepower numbers. It's just there's not much left to the imagination. Like we know pretty much everything at this point, but the Zora is just like kind of out there at this point. So if I had to guess, it will probably be a 26, maybe a 27, but I don't know. I don't see them holding on to the Zora for a real long period of time, especially if it is a check option for the ZR1, a performance checkbox. Because if that's the case, there's really not reason to hold on to it. But we'll see.
Well, and it may very well come last year before they start the C10. I mean, because since it's going to be a Halo model, it'll be very low production. Yeah, it may come that last year, and that's the only year where you're going to be able to get your hands on the Zora. Could be.
It could be. It could be where they wait until 2028 or 2029 and have that be their farewell car. That's a very good possibility. Yeah, so Professor Corvette says Stingrays are collecting dust on lots, so why not decrease Stingray production and raise Z06 and E-Ray? So there's a good reason for that. Well, I'll say a GM good reason. What that is that GM makes the most amount of money back on a Stingray. So Stingrays are always going to be the cars they produce more of than the E-Rays or the Z06s or the ZR1s, just because they make more per Stingray sold, assuming it's not a 1LT non-Z51. If you get a 3LT Stingray with front end lift, carbon fiber on the interior, stealth pack, if you option it out, GM makes a bunch of money on that, and that's what they want. So
yeah, I was just going to say that the very well optioned Stingrays are their cash cow. They're where they make a ton of money on those. The ones that are, like you said, 3LT with all the extras, they make a ton of money on those cars.
Yep.
And I finally, for the first time, got to ride in the hardtop coupe or convertible Stingray. It was a 22, and it was a 3LT. That car impressed me. I mean, I was really impressed. It was the first time I'd actually been in the convertible and had somebody really get after it. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, it scared me. Of course, it was on some curvy roads, and it's just you're a passenger, and I'm not used to that, so there was that. But I mean, I was pretty impressed with the car, especially being it's not necessarily a base, but just being Stingray.
Yeah,
I'd definitely be all about it.
And that's the thing is, and I say this every time we do a live video, there is not a bad car in the C8 lineup. There's not a bad car. No. Regardless of what car, you could buy a 1LT non-Z51 completely base model Stingray and you're still getting a great car. I mean, where else do you buy a mid-engine car with 500 horsepower for 68 grand or whatever the base model goes for now? Like it's still significantly less.
Yeah, and the amount of performance they get out of that 500 horsepower is a lot. Like it does not feel like a 495
No,
horsepower car.
no,
Like
and
No,
it's
this one
it's
definitely
not.
didn't.
with the
Not
dual
even
clutch
close.
transmission, it's just, you
Right.
know, you're still hitting 0 to 60 in well under 3 seconds. And I mean, they advertised it, I believe, at 2.9 or 2.8. I hit 2.6 personally a couple times in a row at a New Jersey uh, racetrack with AWE. So I know it can be done, and that's
Yeah.
fast. That's
It's
fast.
fast. It's fast. And again, like for the base price where you're coming in at, that's a whole lot of performance
That's what I
for
mean.
that base price.
That's what I
Yeah.
And
mean.
I've
It's like
seen,
we were talking about it at Carlisle. One of my subscribers came up and we were talking about. I was like, do we really need a ZR1? Like the performance of that? Do we need it? And I was like, you know what? I don't even need the performance of a Z06. I don't even need the performance of a Stingray. And then while I'm talking about this, a golf cart drives by and said, that's what we need. We need that to get
Right.
back and forth from point A to point B. We don't need these high horsepower cars, but we want them. That's a different story.
Yep.
and there's, I mean, you can heads and cam in those cars, 80 wheel horse, and
Oh
just
I
yeah.
was
using the
just gonna
tins with
say,
some
and now
tires.
that the mods are opening up for
Yep.
the Stingrays, let me tell you something, man. Better be careful. There gonna be some Stingrays out there hurting feelings before too long.
Yeah. There's twin turbo kits for the Stingray
Yeah.
that put them very close to 1,000 horsepower anyway. And they're doing it pretty reliably from what I understand. So
Yep.
if you're looking for just straight line power, I don't know. I mean, the Stingray with some twin turbos on it makes an argument for sure.
Have you
Oh
seen the
yeah.
4 point, like it's like 4.8, or so there's a few of the 60 to 130s being posted of those twin
Oh,
turbo
the
Stingrays,
turbo
the higher
ones.
horsepower ones in the fours. That's pretty freaking fast.
That's insane,
That is
dude.
incredibly
That's
fast.
gonna be running up there with a 0 1. You know, it's gonna be close.
Yep. Yep.
So we got there was a comment here I wanted to address. Oh, somebody asked if the ZR1 was still, yeah. Matthew Branson says, is the ZR1 still going to have a removable target top like the C7 ZR1? The answer is yes. So all of the C8 Corvette lineup will have a removable target top or a convertible option. The ZR1 will have a convertible option as well. So doesn't matter which C8 you get, you can
Yeah, the options.
do some serious stuff with them.
Yeah, Lewis LG in the comments said he's with Mickey Thompson. Too much horsepower is almost enough.
That's legit. And that's the thing
That
is,
is
it's like
legit.
That's I need a shirt that says that, because that's
yeah,
That
exactly what
is
I live by.
awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
none of it. We don't
There,
need this amount of horsepower. I mean, you really don't.
nope,
But
nope. There's the set of Mickeys I picked up for my Challenger right there. So almost enough.
yeah. Let's see. I missed something here. Yep. So, guys, if you haven't seen it yet, Seawolf Z06 is actually a member of the memberships group here on YouTube. YouTube threw out an offer to me about opening up memberships on the channel, and I figured I'd see what it does. Each category of membership kind of adds different perks to it. Seawolf Z06 did it, and he's considered now a loyal HPO fan. So if you guys want to get some early access or some access to some things that I post only to the memberships forum of the channel here, check out the link in the description down below. You can actually, I think it's like $4.99 a month or something, $4.99, $5, get you some custom emojis and stuff. And I'm going to be adding to it as time goes on. So check them out if you get a chance. Seawolf Z06, thank you for the support. I think right now there's 4 or 5 members, so nothing crazy, but it'd be pretty cool to make it a big thing. Because one of the things that you can get access to, and I'm waiting to see if anybody does this, is I actually set it up so there is a members only live stream. If we get enough members and we do a members only live stream, I mean there's really nothing off the table at that point. So
Right.
yeah, we can really we can have some fun with it. So
Yeah, and
Yep.
check it out. It's called members or memberships. If you go to the YouTube channel, you can actually see, you can sign up. It will say join, and that's what that is.
piggyback off that a little bit. This is kind of really feels like this is where things are going, like future wise, because in the past, to go back 10 years, Corvette Forum was the only thing you had. If you wanted Corvette information, you had to go on Corvette forums.
Yep.
You had to create a post, wait 3 or 4 days to find an answer, whatever that
Right.
might be. And now you go on the forum, and I'm on there. I've been on there for years, probably for 15 years or so, and it's crickets. And even if you do get responses, a lot of times they're adversarial, or I just feel like this is kind of where things are going in the future, as far as for Facebook, YouTube, all those kind of things. It's getting away from all that, which kind of sucks because I enjoy the forums. I like posting and those kind of things. But this really is kind of where it's going, like what you talked about, having member specific groups and those kind of things. But
Yeah, and that's I definitely agree because the way that it's kind of set up now is yeah, some of the stuff we talk about as far as news is concerned, you can still find on some forums, but you're not going to get actual member or not member, but user feedback like you do with groups
Right.
like this. I mean, all three of us literally own a C8. We literally have had our fair share of problems, awesomeness, maintenance records. I mean, with cars in general, outside of just the C8, but you're getting all of that with just three guys here on all three of our channels as well. So it's like it's a really cool feature, and honestly, I can see why it's going to kind of kill forums because this is a better approach. This is a more
Right.
personalized approach. I mean, everybody everybody on here knows us, so it's like they're not talking to a stranger. They can come on here and ask a question, and we're going to do our best to get an answer.
Right. Well, and not just on the lives too, like, any of all three of us, any of the videos, like, or Instagram, or whatever, if you guys message us or post or put
Right.
comments, we do our best to, answer everything we possibly can, because we just, we know what it's like to post. Like, Brandon's been on the forums a lot longer than I have, but I mean, there's like post a forum post, and like you said, you wait 3 days to get an answer back, and then half the time it's just somebody hating on you or
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. Or
whatever else.
read
Yeah.
read the stickies. It's like, dude, the
Exactly.
amount of time that it took you to make that reply, you could have just answered my question. And honestly, we had a hot topic about this whenever me, Jason, and Steve were on here. We had a hot topic about this once that really blew up into something crazy because it is really frustrating to go onto the Facebook groups or to um, the forums in general and ask a question and get a response like that because it's like I went out of my way to make this question to set it up and hopefully get some help with this because I don't know the answer. And you're telling me to go do this or go do that, where maybe I'm new to this form and I don't know how to do that stuff. And
Right.
that is the case with most people. If I told my dad to go to a forum and look up go find an answer over on this, he's not going to be able to do that. It's forums are kind of complicated to use sometimes. So yeah,
well,
it's
not only
just
that, the cars themselves. I mean, it's just as what you were talking about earlier with getting random codes that just come and go away. The cars now are so complicated, way more than the past, that you really do need the help. You have to have a
Yeah.
community of people in order to be able to work on these things because, like, just try to get access to the manual as far as for actual like diagram manual for the engine. You have to pay subscriptions. Now, usually you could buy a book and it like you bought three
yep.
books and it tells you everything you want to know, every torque spec, all that stuff, and you could have it and
Right.
you could sit, just tell someone or
Chilton's.
whatever. Now you have to buy subscriptions if you can get it. I don't even know right now how to get the actual full service manual for that LT6. So I'm trying to get it. And
Well, remember
I'm assuming.
Chilton's, Brandon? You can walk into freaking
Yeah.
Advanced Auto Parts and
Yeah.
buy the Chilton's right there
Yep.
underneath the register, and you took it home. You had everything you needed to
That's
know.
funny.
Yeah, and literally that's all you needed. And it's
That's
like
all you
now
needed.
the everything's so proprietary. The
Yeah.
information is like all hidden. You have to have a subscription for it.
Yep.
Yep.
It's all monetized. It just makes things difficult. That's why the community stuff I think is a lot better.
A lot better.
Rattletrap Fox says that he's waiting for an OnlyFans, Justin.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then somebody else said, Wheeler O'Hara said, horsepower plus feet obsessed would be the OnlyFans channel. I'll tell you what. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I am not against an OnlyFans channel. If I'm taking a picture of my feet and someone's paying me for pictures of my feet, I will take pictures of my feet all day long. I don't care. Yeah, so Mr. T says Corvette forum was toxic with the Porsche dudes. Honestly, it's not even just the Porsche guys. I've gone on there just recently, and you can literally go on there and click on any thread, and somebody in there will just be an absolute,
A hole.
yeah,
Yep.
bad word kind
Well,
of guy for no reason. No reason at all.
well, and it's amazing the amount of hate that's going back and forth right now with the E-Ray Z06 guys, because we post the videos
Oh yeah.
between Nate and mine, and then we posted Brandon's video of Nate and Brandon, and the amount of hate going back and forth, man, it heated up quick, man. It really did. I
You're
was
gonna
like,
find out
And
wow.
some of the best videos on YouTube and the best videos on the internet in general are ones that divide the users. Because and here's the thing. What I'll clue you guys in on a little secret. All of you. The guys you guys and girls in the comment section, Brandon and David on the screen here. It doesn't matter which Corvette you have. It really doesn't.
No.
If you have a Corvette, you are doing really well in your life. You're living a good life. You're going to have fun with it. That's all it comes down to. It doesn't matter if you
Well,
have an
they're all
E-Ray, if you have a
amazing.
Z06, or if you have a C4 that you just bought and that's a, you know, it's a fixer up kind of thing. You are going to have an absolute blast with it. It's that simple.
I think the most ironic thing about this though is like, so every video we've done, we are clearly fans of the E-Ray, right? Brandon is probably the biggest
I
fan out
know
of
he
all of
is,
us,
and he's
and
the one
he's the
getting the
one
most
taking
I'm
all
crap.
the
like,
heat.
I'm
He's the
trying
one
to
taking
move
all
things
the
around to
heat.
get one. Like literally, I'm trying to get one. I'm not getting rid of my Z, but I'm trying to get one right now. So, but it doesn't matter. It's like having all this love, and I literally am like the most non-biased person when it comes to cars.
You are.
On the forums, it is like I'm having to de-escalate
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
animosity
I know.
like crazy, and I'm like, guys, I'm on your side here. Like, back off. Right?
Yep.
Don't
You
put
are
the hate on me. I love the car. Like, I'm literally one
exactly.
of the biggest fans.
Yep.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if they actually watched your content or
Yeah.
had the live stream, see, like, you're the biggest proponent of the era, and I love it too. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that you're the biggest fan and you're the one taking all the heat kind of
Yep.
makes me laugh a little bit. So,
I know it's like I'm a
It's
bad
kind
guy
of
or something, and it's like all I'm
it
doing is we're racing the cars, we're seeing what they do, we're trying to find ways to like even the playing field a little bit, from the launch stuff, and just having fun doing it. And so it's just like give us a break, kind of one of those deals.
yeah.
yep,
It's
yep,
kind of funny because, you know, the more you do this, the more people are gonna, and I bet you there's somebody out there, because there always is. There's always that guy who he's out there spreading this misinformation about how Brandon loves Z06s, and he's making these videos just to purposely crap on the E-Ray. Meanwhile,
yep. That's pretty much
he
what he
has
said.
no idea that Brandon literally Brandon is more so a supporter of the E-Ray more than me or David, even though
Yeah,
both of us like the car. Brandon literally wants one. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't know. It is incredible
And that
the
is
way people
exactly
are.
what happened, Justin. Exactly. What you said is exactly what happened.
Yeah. There's at least one guy out there doing it, and he is certain he's right. Brandon hates the E-Ray. Like the
Right.
E-Ray
We
physically
got
hurt
accused of
Brandon somehow.
staging it. He got accused of staging it, actually.
Staging
Yeah,
it
Like,
like
nice.
literally.
the Nate, the race with Nate, like we staged it in order to like to make the victory one side. Now, were there tricks and stuff? Absolutely. Like as far not tricks, but as far as like dropping tire pressure, like drag
Yeah,
racing stuff that
right.
drag racers
Yeah.
do. Yeah, yes. And was it on home turf? Yes, it was on roads that I know familiar with. Like all those things, right? But to imply that something would be staged,
Right.
that just drives me
Well,
bonkers.
Yeah,
the thing is,
that's
the
that's
problem is, Brandon, is that there's a lot of people will say, or YouTubers out there that would stage that kind of stuff, and it's hard. It's going to be hard for anybody to shine through the garbage out there, because there is a
right.
lot of it. So if you guys are making genuine content and everything, it's going to take you a minute before you're not getting those kind of comments anymore.
Well, and here's the
Well,
other
and,
crazy thing about it, Justin, is like literally we have like 4 or 5 different angles to where you can like make your own decision. Like you can look at the tires, what the tires are doing. The only thing we didn't do this time is have draggies. Next time there needs to be draggies in both cars. But PDR footage, all that kind of stuff, all this data that you can actually look at and say, hey, it's not like, this person's lifting or whatever. Like you can make your own decision on launch timing, who started first, whatever. Like all that's there. Like there's
Yep.
multiple angles for it. You can see what the tires are doing. And it's just that's kind of like it's a little, it's frustrating for sure.
So
yeah, and the
real,
funny part is like, if you watch any of our channels, like I take the L against Nate because I'm on the street with those four S's, and he just murders me all except for like the 50 or 60 roll. We put it up there. We don't care. Like we're like,
yeah,
yeah, this is what
dude,
happened.
dude,
Like
I
if
raced street speed and lost to a freaking Mustang, and I uploaded the video. Okay, like. You
yeah,
want to talk about getting murdered? The Corvette community hated me for like a month straight. And it's like,
yeah, I
here's
bet,
the deal,
man.
okay? It's 770 horsepower to the wheels on that Mustang. I knew I was going to lose. It's just about seeing about how much I was going to lose by. And honestly,
Right.
I didn't lose by as much as I should have given the numbers. That's
Oh
what
no,
I
hundred
wanted to
percent.
know.
Exactly. Well, and again, it's like any of the cars. I've got a Ferrari California coming up that I've got to set up with that. We're going to do a versus, and then a Mercedes AMG GT. And again, I'm not worried about the Ferrari, but that AMG GT is no joke. Like
Oh
that
yeah,
that
dude, the
car may
GT
get
is going
me.
to be
So
that's a quick
so
car.
if I take the L, it's going on YouTube too. I don't care. Like,
Well, the thing is that yeah, you're taking an L from a car like that, but you're taking an L from a car that costs significantly more too.
600K.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I
exactly.
mean the G, especially if it's the AMG GTR or the AMG the Black Series AMG
Yes.
GTR or whatever it is. That thing's
Yeah.
actually a ridiculously nice car. I'm not a big fan of the AMG GT or the AMG GTR, but the Black Series,
Yeah.
that is a nice
Oh
car. But
yeah.
that's a $400,000 car. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it should be beating my Z06.
Exactly.
But anyway,
Exactly.
back to the OnlyFans thing real quick. LT4 Powered said not just feet with New Balances.
That's right.
That's even
You have
better.
to
I
take
could
the New
definitely do
Balances
that.
off slowly.
No, 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 no,
Definitely.
no,
Yeah,
no. Keep the
definitely.
New Balances on. Just a new pair of New Balances every other week or something, you know?
Gotcha.
New Balance feet. Yeah.
Yeah, and somebody brought up about nitrous. That's coming, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like we've got a lot of plans coming up. We're going for a world record soon, so we got a lot of plans coming up.
ZR1 versus Revolto. That would be a really good race. I saw
That
one of
would be a good
those.
race.
Well, we actually worked on one up at Blackout Tinting recently. It was the purple that Corvette should have used for the C8. Um, Beautiful car, but I think I mentioned this in one of the last live streams. I look at that car and it's beautifully designed, lots of use of carbon fiber, great looking car, great performance, and then they put a set of wheels on it that looks like they're straight off of a Chevy Cruze. Like, I
Yeah.
do not get the wheel choice on that car. I do not understand it.
Yeah, everything else from the interior, the seats, like
Yeah,
everything is
everything.
absolute perfection, and then the wheels are absolute crap.
Yeah, it's almost like they're like, you know
They're
what?
horrible.
We're gonna let them figure this part out.
Yeah, yeah. They're probably like they're gonna change it anyway. If you got this kind of money, they're gonna change it anyway.
Yeah,
Forget
well, and they're probably not
it.
wrong, but let's see. 92 thumbs ups, where we at? Oh, 95. Yeah, we missed our 8 o'clock cutoff. So guys, let's try to smash the thumbs up. Let's get these as high as possible for 8:30. That'd be really cool. Paul Yunker, I'm actually not wearing any shoes right now. I'm inside, but normally I would gladly show you my shoes. Brandon's, what, your TRX is boring now? What?
No, see, Alfredo said TRX or Z06, and I said get the Z06 because
Oh yeah.
the TRX is now boring compared to it. You know, like you drive
Well,
the TRX, and it's like
it
it
yes
feels
and
like a
no. The way I answered this question before, someone asked that same question on, it might have been him actually, on my TRX review video. They are both, and this is the only reason I can own both of these cars, because if the TRX was a car, I would have sold it. Because yeah, it's the Z06 is far better, far faster, I should say. But the fact that it's a truck and there is nothing like this thing on this planet,
Right.
that's why I keep it. It's a truck that's fast, that can tow a decent amount, can haul some stuff, looks absolutely sinister, about as sinister as they come. And the only thing
Right.
that's even close to it is a Raptor. And of course the Raptor R, but they don't barely make any of those. So the Ford Raptor and the TRX, that's it. Other than that, you are not getting a truck anything like that.
Well,
So
and
and the
like you said, you can tow. What did you drop? You went to the track, and what did you drop on your big ass tires on the eighth?
oh, I went 730s in the eighth, like
Seven
99
thirties,
miles
and
an
like
hour.
yeah, and like almost 100 miles an hour in that truck after we towed there,
right,
disconnected, and then did that. There
right.
was a guy that had a Raptor R there that we were trying to get him to race it, and he was like, "Oh no!" Well, I was like, "Man,
Yeah,
this is what everybody wants to see is the
yeah.
TRX and the Raptor R." Like,
See, my
yeah,
my thing, when the Raptor R first came out, there was a video of a stock TRX stock racing a Raptor R with 37s, the TRX one. Then, if you put the TRX on 37s, then the TRX loses,
Mm-hmm.
because
yep,
the tires and the wheels on the truck, they are just massively heavy. I mean,
They're like 90
my
yeah,
something pounds for
each one,
both, like wheel and tire.
no, no,
Yeah,
no,
each
mine's
one's
more than
like,
that. My wheels are 42 and the tires are 75
oh,
each.
that's right, because you got the 37s. I was referring to like the near stock ones, but yeah, good lord.
It is an absolute. I
that's
mean,
crazy.
I was thinking at one point, I was like, I'm gonna get these tires mounted on the wheels and I'll go home and put them on myself. And then I was like, wait a second, how am I gonna lift these things onto this truck? First off, but then I was like, also, I have no way of lifting this truck. It's too heavy, so I had to have him do it. And I watched the service rep or the service guy pick this wheel up like it was nothing and throw it on there. I was like, dude, like that's like 120 pounds. You just deadlifted from the ground up onto the thing, no problem.
Yep.
Well, he chased some
Well,
Tylenol
that's
and
like,
Advil probably like 2
Oh,
hours later or
he
something.
said
yeah.
something along those lines. He's like, "Trust me, my back will hate me later," or something like that.
And it's just like it makes such a great noise. Your TRX Brandon makes just such a great sound. It
That's
just sounds
Seawolf
so good,
Z06
dude.
is literally saying that right now. He said he loved the sound of my TRX at
Yeah,
Carlisle. Awesome machine. And that's the
they
thing is,
just
it's
make
like
great sounds.
every year at Carlisle, I'll bring my TRX just to carry the stuff from my or for my booth and everything. And inevitably, somebody will strike up a conversation about that truck that I'm talking to them for an hour about it. And it's like, this is a Corvette show. Like, I think no, I don't know. You guys weren't there, or maybe you came in at the end. I don't remember. But I was talking to that one guy behind the booth about my TRX for like a solid hour, and he
Yeah.
wanted to sit in it. He had never sat in one before, and after sitting in it, he's like, "Yeah, I got to sell everything I own and buy one of these now." And it's like, you really, you really should, because the TRX is an awesome truck.
Well, I'll
It
never
is.
understand why GM did not follow suit.
I know, with the
They
Silverado,
did
they could have
the
easily done it.
and the Escalade. I mean, they had the Escalade. It's the
Mhm.
same chassis.
Yeah,
So they already had an Escalade V that's got the LT4. Why did
yep.
they not do that in a truck and get
Dude,
in
they
that
have
market?
LT4 engines literally sitting on a shelf. They could have dropped an LT4 into the Silverado. They could have fiberglassed up some rear bed sides and front fenders to make them slightly wider. Put at least 35s on that truck from the beginning, maybe 37s. Pushed them out a little bit with a nice mud tire, and there you go. You got a truck now that is Chevy's answer to the TRX. And they could have done that. They absolutely could, and it would have been easy. But
And it would
they,
have sold. I mean, it would have sold. That look at the
yeah.
TRX, how well it sold.
Well,
Um,
they had the Chevy. Was
And
it
the
the
thing is the
Blazer
Silverado would have
SS?
been way more fuel efficient too. The
Yeah.
TRX is one of the worst things on gas on the planet.
yeah.
Those Blazer SSs with the LS sold really well back in the day, and a lot of
Yeah.
guys would take those and twin turbo them and stuff. Yeah, man.
Yep. Yeah, AARPM, that is a great idea. I've been talking about this for quite some time about organizing some sort of rally that starts in Pennsylvania and maybe ends in Florida. And on the way down, we hit a couple different things like the tail of the dragon or um, the back of the dragon, and there's another couple roads around the tail of the dragon that would be really cool to hit. We should look
Yeah,
into that.
there's one in North Georgia too. It's called Blood Mountain, but it's as good as the Dragon. 100%, it's as good. It
Yeah.
is
They just
insane.
had this past weekend. It was like Corvettes of the Dragon. It was like a new first annual. It was I think they looked like they had probably 40 or 50 Corvettes that went and did the Dragon this past weekend, which pretty interesting.
Yeah. No, we wanted to we want to do that this fall, but we're trying to get the track rentals done to get a lot of testing done. We got a lot to do. So
KP says Chevy's answer to the TRX is the Bison 1560. I don't even know what that is.
That's
The
the Colorado, it may be the GMC version, but it's
Well,
basically I think that's what he's referring to, right?
Silverado came in a Bison edition, and so did the Colorado, but neither one of those were even close to the TRX.
Yeah, yeah. They were all just suspension, right? They wanted to beat them in the
Yeah,
suspension realm, not in the
suspension.
horsepower realm.
They use the Multimatic DSSVs, that is a really good suspension setup. I had that on my Colorado ZR2. It makes road driving feel normal, and then when you get off road, somehow it also handles off roading very easily. It's
yeah.
a good suspension setup, but they also have front and rear locking differentials, which again is a really cool thing to have for an off-road truck. They just didn't give it enough power, and they didn't make it look different enough from a regular Silverado to make it a TRX killer. If they would have dropped
Well,
the
and that is
LT4
too.
in it and gave it wider fenders with bigger tires, that's it. That's all you would have had to
Mhm.
have changed, and then it is a TRX killer.
And that is
Uh,
too, like when you see a TRX, you know it's a TRX. Like there's nothing else that looks like it. You know what I mean? Like when you see one, you're
Right.
like, oh, look at the TRX. Like
Yeah. The closest
100%.
thing is a Rebel, and that's not that close.
Nope.
Yeah. I went off roading with a ZR2 and the TRX, and it would run circles around me off road, stock for stock, mainly because of its size. I think the front and rear locker part, and just being so small and nimble. But
The
TRX
Colorado
couldn't go where that
ZR2?
thing could go. Yeah,
Yeah.
Colorado
I
ZR2.
did a lot of off-roading with my Colorado ZR2, and the size of that, the lightness of it, it can get in and out of situations that the TRX is not going to be able to even fit into. So
Yep.
if it depends on what you're going for. Like honestly, I've given some serious thought to buying another ZR2, the newer edition style now, just for the ability to do more off-roading. I haven't really done any with the TRX yet, but I can already tell you it's not going to do what this
Too
the
big.
Colorado ZR2 can. It's way too big. It's
Yeah,
too
and
heavy.
yours
It's
is too
too
nice,
big.
honestly.
Yeah, Mark Kutzi says about he got the service parking brake message on his Z06. There was actually a recall on that. Mark, when you take it in the dealership, they can reprogram it. But yeah, the parking brake, there was an issue. I can't remember what it was, Justin. Did you have it on yours?
No.
Yeah, there like the parking brake. There was an issue with some of them. I read about. I can't remember exactly what it was. Mine didn't have it, so I didn't have that. But yeah, they should be able to reprogram it for you, Mark.
Matt Hurley says TRX is the king truck. Love them. Want another one, Matt? I didn't know you got rid of yours. I thought you still had it. It is an awesome truck, though. Absolutely right. And yeah,
Yeah,
Mark Cutsey, it could be the parking brake module because I know, and this is something we're going to talk about. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I took my car in for some service just recently, and we have a lot to talk about with it. But the big thing is that it had a recall. There was literally a recall on it that had to reflash the ECM to fix. And what that was is that, if you're driving along and you come to a stop, you're parked in your driveway and you don't put the car in park, you just reach down and hit the start stop button. It's supposed to automatically put it in park and turn the car off. The problem with that apparently is that it was not always doing that. So I wouldn't want to be the guy that found that out the hard way, but apparently if you reach down and press the start stop button, it wasn't always putting it in park, and then the car would just apparently start drifting away. I don't know. That's what was explained to me. So the update had to update the ECM, which right off the bat means it can't be done over the air. He told the service tech there told me that the over the air updates are for pretty much every other module except for the ECM. And if it touches the ECM, they have to do it in the shop, but that's what this was for, was to make sure that it always put it in park when you hit the start stop button.
Yeah, actually, and when I saw your video, a couple of things. Like I said, the wiring thing gave me freaking indigestion. But the other thing was that actually happened to me one time when I parked it at the other garage,
Oh, did
and
it?
I hit the start stop button and it actually started rolling forward, and
Huh.
I put the brake on. I didn't know what it was, and it never did it again. But now I know because
Yeah.
I have to take it in anyway. But yeah, that actually happened to me one time, and I was like, "What the
See,
heck?"
I have
And
never actually even done that. I've never not hit park
yeah, it,
first.
it rolled about 3 feet. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, better.
yeah."
I don't want that to keep going. Um,
Hey, and to piggyback off this a little bit, Justin, just FYI for all the people in here, kind of with your harness thing, like we were talking about before the show, a couple people reached out to me were having issues with their connectors, doing all these because we're having these things, the intake's off so much, you're doing the MAP airflow sensor, and you've seen how the maps are so finicky, like the sensor wires. I feel
Oh,
like their connectors in general are just kind of frail in these cars. But anyways, long story short, just be really careful taking them on and off. A guy was doing a cat delete, and he actually broke a pin or pulled back a pin accidentally on his MAP airflow sensor, and it threw like 20 codes on his car. I ended up having to go to a dealer, get it. They tried repinning it themselves. It didn't work. Ended up having to have a new, not harness, but new connector actually put back on from the dealer. So just be real careful when you're doing these things because
yeah.
it's really easy to break those connectors. And I've almost broken mine
Well, the
multiple
thing,
times.
and it gets easier to break those connectors as time goes on too, because the heat of that
Yep.
engine bay literally makes them even more brittle than they are now. So you definitely want to watch for that. But yeah, that was another thing is the the recall. So like I was saying, mine was a recall. When you go into
right.
your Chevy dealership for anything, they're gonna want to do that recall for you, which is an ECM flash. I think it took like maybe 10 minutes. But there is more information on the seatbelt recall, which is something I did want to talk about tonight too. As of right now, the seatbelt recall, well, as of one point, was only affecting the 2024s and only some of them. David, you got a message, right? And
Yeah,
Brandon,
I
did
got the
you?
letter. Yep.
I got a message.
You did get
Um,
it. Okay.
the, the
Which
problem
I
with
knew
my
you would
message
because we
was
were
is
only built a week apart.
Yeah.
So
I sold my seatbelt to someone because I did the seatbelt swap to the
Oh, that's
yellow.
right. That's right. So you're not even gonna have to do it.
Yeah, but I don't know if the ones I got were a part of the recall because it's around. You have no idea. 'Cause I ordered
Yeah.
them
That
from
that's
a
a
vendor,
that's an
so I have no
interesting
idea.
problem to have. I don't even know how you would find out
I
if
was gonna
that's
say, yeah, I don't even know because it would just be a generic part number. That's
yeah,
all it would be.
Yeah. So,
that's
anyways,
Yeah, no,
interesting.
I actually talked to them, so they're gonna get me red ones so that when
Oh, that's
I
good.
go in to get it replaced, they're gonna actually do the red ones for me. Yeah, so. But yeah, I got that letter. I figured you would, Brandon, because we were built so close together. So
I did. I think I got a mess on my app that
on
said
your app,
there's a recall. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So guys, here's the information from the Corvette blogger over here saying that this comes down to affect 2020 to 2025 cars. So
wow.
literally cars that aren't even built yet are being affected by this. I don't know how that's possible, but hey, here it is.
It's the
So
seat. They've already bought the parts, the seat belts.
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, the suppliers
Yeah.
already supplied them. But if you guys have a 2020 C8, you could potentially be affected by this. So again, this is one of those kind of things. I wanted to talk about maintenance tonight. This is kind of it. So between recalls, transmission fluid filter or transmission filters, oil changes, oil filters, all of this stuff comes down to obviously, you want to take care of this stuff. But at the same time, if you guys didn't watch the video I just did when I was at the dealership getting this stuff done to my car, I went in there for a transmission filter and an oil change. That's what I wanted done. I came out of there with also having a recall done and finding out that I was really close to having a giant issue with a wire harness going from my transmission to the TCM. And the wire harness was split wide open and literally
That's
laying right
crazy.
on the lower control arm. Now,
That's crazy.
I noticed this. The Corvette tech didn't even notice this. This was something that I saw, and I mentioned it to him, and he fixed it for me. But I was like, if I hadn't seen that, those wires, I mean, they're small wires. They are super thin gauge wires, and they're just in this giant bundle. They're sitting on top of a cast aluminum part that's a rough aluminum, and they're moving with the car. I mean, you guys know that the Z06 has a lot of noise vibration harshness to it, so everything kind of vibrates. So those things are literally being drug across a rough surface for however many days or hours that I'm driving at a time. I bet you I
Yeah.
would have had less than a week before that would have caused a gigantic issue.
I wonder
Yeah.
if you
As
would have
soon as I
had
watched
trans
your
failure
video.
from it. If you have the right things happen in the right
Yeah.
sequence, you can actually have full trans failure, not just throw some codes
Exactly.
kind of deal.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. As soon as I watched your video, I was like, God, I gotta get my car up on a lift. Like
Right.
immediately. Like I was like, I gotta get my car up on a lift like now.
Yeah. I honestly,
It could be indigestion.
I heard about this issue really early on. Like the first couple cars that were delivered apparently had an issue. I didn't even think to check mine because I thought for sure, okay, Chevy's got this fixed, 6 months later. Apparently they didn't. And I had never noticed that particular bundle of wires looking open like that before. And the angle I was standing at the car is the same angle I always stand at it whenever it's going up in the air. I feel like that had to have just happened. It had to have just got to the point where it opened up and these wires were literally just sitting there. So it's scary, but this is one of the things, just like I said in that video. If you guys haven't seen the video, you should check it out. It's the last video I posted.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
I said in the video, this is the reason why you should put your car in the air. This is the reason why you do these maintenance items and why whenever Chevy, even if you take it to Chevy, whenever they put it up in the air, sometimes they come back to you and say, hey, we also noticed XYZ. This is why they do this kind of stuff. They do a lot of places will say they do a 100-point check or whatever. They want to make sure they find these things before they become an issue, because if you found that pack of wires after it rubbed through, now all of a sudden GM's gonna have, $50,000 plus on their hands that they have to fix, versus all it took to fix mine was a roll of fabric tape and some
Right.
plastic sheathing. Like nothing in comparison as to what it could have caused and the trouble it would have caused me, the time without the car, all this stuff. And it was all fixed because I managed to see something while the car was up in the air. Otherwise, would have never been seen. So
Right.
And
you want to do your
if it hap-
maintenance at the scheduled time, especially with this transmission. The transmission filter on this car, I've replaced now 3 times. And every time I replace it, the car feels like a brand new car again. It shifts like it's brand new. And I only had about 2,000 to 2,200 miles on the old filter. So
Right.
I really feel like these filters should probably be changed between 2,000 and 2,200 miles or 2,500 miles at most. And GM saying do it at 7,500.
Well, you want to talk about your theory on as to why that $7,500 mark,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
7,500 mile
Well,
mark?
it's not my theory. I had somebody actually mention this to me, and I have no idea if this is legit or not. It's just somebody mentioned it, and I thought it sounded okay. Apparently, GM said 7,500 miles. that's what they want you to change the filter at. And they want you to change it at 7,500 miles, even if you've already changed it at 2,000 or 3,000, like I did. They want you to change it again at 75. Somebody said that there was some sort of uh, material on the gears inside the transmission that literally is on those gears until about 7,500 miles. And then it all wears off and it gets into the fluid and then ultimately into your filter. And that's why they say to change it at 7,500 RPM or at 7,500 miles. I thought that sounds legit, but I didn't hear this directly from GM, so I can't say it's 100% accurate, but it sounds pretty good. So if you haven't looked at the maintenance schedule, the next time you're supposed to change that transmission filter after 7,500 miles is 22,500. There's no way. I am not waiting. There is not a chance that I wait that long. I'll change that filter again. I will change that by 10 to 11,000 miles at the most. I'm changing
Yeah.
that thing every 2,500 miles.
And Justin, to piggyback off that too, I wonder, in the past we used to use like lithium grease and on engine assemblies and also in differentials,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
with oil, it kind of particulates, it
Yep.
thickens and it doesn't really like ever break down very much. So I'm wondering whatever they coated the gears with in for lubricant wise, if that's what's circulating that's being caught by filter,
Yeah.
like what you're talking about as well.
It could
So
be, it literally could be that. It could be any kind of Loctite, if there's any Loctite or anti-seize, or like you were saying, if you buy a new pack or a new rotor from somewhere online, it's shipped to you with a very greasy, oily coating to it to prevent it from rusting while it's sitting on a shelf. It could be any number of things that break down inside of that fluid over time. And GM has noted that it takes 7,500 miles for it to fully break down. And then at that point, your filter is now loaded with nothing but a bunch of the leftover gunk from these gears. So
mhm.
it makes perfect
Right.
sense. But again, just something I wanted to throw out there because I don't know for sure if it's 100% legit. But either way, it costs $106 to change that filter if you do it yourself. That's not that bad for peace of mind. I'm going to change it every
Right.
single time I change my oil, maybe
Right.
even one additional time during the year, depending on how many miles I put on it.
How long did that take you
Oh,
again? I can't remember for the DCT filter. Just I'm actually about to do it this week, so I was
To do
curious.
it myself, honestly, if I wasn't filming it, the most time consuming part is taking off the aluminum pan on the bottom. It's probably 20 minutes.
20.
I mean, you
Wow.
have you
Okay,
have
cool.
access to a lift. You get it up in the air with power tools. You zip off like 30 screws, pull down the pan. It's 4 screws holding on the filter housing. You pull that out, pop the filter out, put the new one in, and you're done. It's literally
Interesting.
nothing.
I wonder. I don't. I have a friend that has one. I wonder, is the GT500 schedule maintenance the same? Because it's basically the same transmission they co-developed
Yeah,
at the same time. I wonder if their maintenance
that's a good
schedule has
question.
that intervals. I'll have to look that up. I'll get back with you on that, Justin.
Yeah, that is a good question. Actually, I had thought about that not too long ago because, and if it is, the car being relatively, a good bit heavier, I feel like maybe their transmission's beefier.
I don't
I
know.
mean, that's
Yeah,
what we.
so I'll look into it. I know a guy that has one, but I'll look into it because I hadn't even thought of that until now. That it's basically it's basically the same transmission.
Well,
Basically.
we talked about this too, David, you and I before, on the differences between those two, and why is it that it doesn't seem like the GT500 guys are having the issues that Chevrolet's
None.
having? The only difference would make sense to be either a software programming, which you
Yeah,
talk about, like maybe
or
Chevrolet's more
torque
conservative.
management.
Yeah, and so why is there such a big discrepancy between the two? Because it's the co-designed transmission between two
And
manufacturers.
there
They should
and
have the
there's
same
guys doing
problems.
like cold airs, tunes, pulleys, like ported blowers making a
Well,
1,000
actually,
wheel
hold on a second.
and not having any problems.
I want to address this too. Lewis just said if you're changing the DCT filter that often, you better be topping off the trans fluid. I thought the same
Yeah.
thing. I've changed mine now 3 times. And when he popped that fill plug out, the fluid still ran out, meaning it was still over the fill port. And that's after changing this filter 3 times. So
I
that
saw
is
that in your video.
that's not necessarily true. Yes, you should always be checking it, but I have not had to top mine off, and I'm still technically over full after changing it 3 times. So keep an eye on it, but don't put money on the fact that you're going to have to replace it. I bought a quart of transmission fluid thinking I'm going to have to put at least a half a quart in there, and it was still over full.
Right.
But
Well, and again,
one
too,
other
like
question
you
was,
drive yours pretty hard. We drive
yeah,
ours hard. So Yeah, it's worth it for peace of mind, in my opinion, to
100%.
be. Yeah,
100%. I mean,
absolutely.
if it's going to cost me $100 to possibly prolong the life of my car for another couple years, that's worth every penny. It's $100. Plus, I'm doing it
100%.
myself.
100%.
Professor Corvette says, can't they wash the 7,500 mile gunk off the transmission internals during assembly? I would be willing to bet they probably could, but that doesn't mean they're going to. So
Right.
there you go. But also on that same note, though, it might be something that is necessary to make
Protective.
those gears
Yeah,
right,
protective.
to protect them.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you
Yeah.
don't want to wash it off early. You want it to be on there as long as it can. And 7,500
Yeah.
miles just so happens to be how long.
Especially through break-in, like
Yeah, it's just
exactly.
break-in lube.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like with the C7, you were supposed to change the oil within the first 500 miles because of break-in material. Like Chevy flat out said that. They said change it 500 miles. There's break-in material that will be in the filter, and we don't want it sitting in there. So all of these maintenance mileages are all because of break-in procedures, break-in fluids, parts, whatever might be contaminated. So this is why you want to follow your schedule. On top of the fact that, you know, getting that car up in the air and seeing the kind of stuff like I did with the wire harness, this is a giant thing. Like you want to be able to notice this stuff. See you, Shane. Thanks for tuning in tonight, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Shane.
10 Seconds Z06 says, love my new HPO shirt, by the way. Very nice quality, cool design. That's actually Joe. He was in here. So Joe, thanks for the design. People are liking it. I haven't even added this new shirt to my website yet, but I'm going to do that here very soon, guys. I do have a new shirt available. So if you're wanting to get something, keep an eye on the website. I'll have a new shirt up here pretty soon. Yeah, I only bought 10 of each size, so it's going to be kind of a limited run, but
Hey, Justin, somebody asked earlier about your lyric, just kind of like a quick review, because I think you were talking about a review video.
Yeah,
and
you
somebody
know,
had asked about that.
Some things have come up where I'm even more likely to do that here very soon because I like the good, bad, and ugly approach to reviews, and there's a lot of good, but there's a good bit of ugly with that car.
Can you elaborate a little bit just for us EV people? I'm just curious. Like,
It has nothing to do with it being an EV.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
The
I thought
EV
it would
part
be
of
the
it's
EV part.
no big deal, but we've been having a lot of issues with it. So.
Oh, okay.
Have
you had to go to the dealer? Is it one like that bad, or is it like you have? Oh,
well,
wow.
no, it's not like it's not immobilizing bad, but it's bad. Like possibly buyback bad.
Oh, wow.
So
I will say this, just a quick, off topic. A couple coworkers with Taycans or Taycans, however you say that, the Porsches, and most of those guys are having to either sell their cars or going getting basically completely demobilized after 1,000 or 2,000 miles, having lots of EV issues with those cars. Anyways, kind of interesting.
Brandon, I have to say, hearing you say "us" EV guys is weird as hell, dude.
Well.
I know
he's joined a club.
Now, but God,
he's joined
man,
a club, David,
so
that
weird.
you can't join. You're not allowed. He's in the elite now.
I mean, and if you have seen this guy's garage with two LS3s, an LS7 sitting on a stand, the LS7, so like for him to be us EV guys is pretty crazy.
All right, so Super 8 Creations is in here. This Joe, he's the one that made the shirt. So you guys like the new shirts? Seawolf06 said he likes it too. It's because of Super 8 Creations. So Joe, you're doing something right, man. I love the new shirt too. I want a little bit of a thicker material, but those shirts were perfect for Carlisle just because of how hot it was. But
yeah, ultimately,
that he makes really awesome shirts. EV nerds, I'm one now, says Paul Yunker. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I don't want an EV as my only vehicle. I never will. But as a secondary vehicle to a gas-powered car, I think it's a great idea. In my situation, Amber has the EV now. I think it's a great idea for her. She doesn't have to pump gas. She doesn't have to worry about oil changes. She doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff anymore. So it's a great idea to have that in conjunction with other cars, just in case. Just in case. You never know.
Well, and I'll say the plaid made me a believer. That thing is insane, dude.
JC says, "Hey Justin, let Brandon know that he needs to make a shirt with a picture of his vet underneath it for it to say faster than a speeding ticket."
Not
I
really,
like
because he
that.
gets pulled over all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, my last speeding ticket was like a few months ago, so that's unfortunate.
But you've only been pulled over in the plaid, right? You didn't get pulled over.
Yeah, I haven't been pulled over in the vet yet, and it's so loud. I have no idea how that's
I don't know
possible.
how the
But
hell. Yeah,
I was gonna
exactly. They can
say
hear you coming
that's
for
so
miles.
crazy. Although I'll be honest with you, for some reason, and I don't know what it is, the C8 Z06, it looks, and someone actually said this at the dealership that was sitting there. Some random salesman walks by and says, "Man, that thing looks like it's going 100 miles an hour just sitting there." And I said, I laughed. I was like, "Yeah, it does." But as I'm driving it, very rarely do I ever catch the attention of a cop. And like if you guys have seen my car, you know everything about it is something that should catch the attention of the police. But for the most part, they don't really seem to care. I mean, other than the one cop in Ohio that really did not like my red lights. Other than that, I drive by cops all the time with red daytime running lights, tinted license plate cover, really dark window tint, super loud exhaust, and I mean, I'm not usually breaking the laws, but
LT4 power, you hear this? You see 'em. You better stop by next time.
Yeah, LT4 powered. He's gonna pull me over in my driveway. Uh, what do we got here? We're talking about roofs now for some reason. Anyway, Brandon, it is 8:30. Are you gonna? Do you got to go?
yeah, I was gonna give a couple more minutes, but
Okay.
I think I'll probably have to bounce. Unfortunately, I got to drive into work. So I hope you guys have a good rest of the life. Thanks for having me on. I'll talk to everybody in a couple weeks.
All right, Brandon, go save lives.
Take care, buddy.
All right, see
Be
you guys.
safe.
Yeah, so LT4 powered, it was Ohio. They were super, super strict about those red lights. They did not like that at all. So anyway, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I wanted to talk a lot about the maintenance stuff tonight. Like I said, guys, make sure you're doing the maintenance. Make sure you're looking at stuff under your car from time to time, because stuff like this pops up where, that wire harness on mine could have been a giant problem if I hadn't noticed it when I did. So I know Brandon and David are both going to check theirs out, even though I think I've heard that the 2024s have fixed that issue. But you never know, because like we just looked at that
Yeah.
recall for the seatbelts, and the 2025s are affected, and they're not even out yet. So,
Yep. Well, and that was the first thing I said when I saw your video the other day. I was like, oh my God, I got to get my car up on a lift. Like, I got to look. Because, I mean, it gave
yeah.
me indigestion looking at yours, seeing how close it was.
Dude.
Then it was like through. Like, I was like, oh my God.
When I was looking
was
at that
crazy.
while I was on the lift, I was like, I can't be seeing this right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But that's what you're saying. Like, just look at your car, guys. Like,
Yeah.
anytime you have it up in the air, take the chance to look at it. Get down on the ground if you have to. Stick your head up underneath there. Just look at it.
Yep.
Because you'll find stuff, man. It's they're not perfect, and you don't want to catch that problem when you throw like 20 codes and your whole transmission
Yep.
fails.
And
Right? That's not where you want to catch that problem.
that would have been where it would have, where I would have noticed next.
Yeah.
I doubt I would have had another week with it that way. It was gonna.
Well, and
run
Brandon
through.
and I were talking about that after we saw your video. It was like that probably would have been like your whole transmission. It would have
Yeah.
been enough that it would have thrown something, like it would have locked it or something. It would have been like the whole transmission. That's crazy.
Yep. Bill Miller says, "Yeah, Justin, and here I thought they were going to pull me over just for being behind you because of those red lights." Somebody asked, "How did you get away with red daytime running lights?" Honestly, I'll be honest, 100% honest. Nobody seems to care here in Pennsylvania. I pass state troopers, local police. I pass them all the time with the red lights. They don't care. But as soon as I got into Ohio, coming home from the bash, that one guy, man, he was not having it. And then just like LT4 Powered said, he's like, no issues with the rusted piles of junk on the roads, but the red lights, that's an issue.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, is like Ohio doesn't even have inspection. So how is it out of
Exactly.
all of the states that get pulled over, and it's the state that I have literally seen in Ohio, for real, a truck that had two wheels in the front and one wheel in the back, and it was on the passenger side. So, or no, it was on the driver. No, it was on the passenger side. And there was two people in the truck, and they were huddled real close together to make sure that the weight was on the majority on the passenger side.
Well, and they don't have inspection here in Georgia either, and I'll see, you know, when it rains, like people have their tires are completely bald. That's why
Yeah.
they wreck and run a thing. They don't have that. But
Yep.
you were talking about like inspecting cars too. Like when we did that second video where we raced Brandon's car against Nate, we took it off and put drag radials on the back tires. But when we took them off, we found a nail in the one tire that his PS4s that we would have been going to Carlisle with
Yep.
later that day.
Yep.
That we just plugged right there in his garage. But I mean, like that was a thing. Like if we hadn't just taken it off and just run them and looked at them real quick before we put them back on,
Yep.
you know,
Just
that would not
normal
have been good.
safety. The stuff that
Yep.
you will find looking at your car that can actually help save your life without you even knowing it.
Right.
Steve Robertson says, Justin, can you see the wiring harness with the bottom panels on? Yes, you can. So if you were to lay down behind your car right now, you'd be able to see it behind the driver's side rear tire, right above the lower control arm. So you got to get down pretty low, but you could see it even on the ground. You don't need to remove any panels to see it. Yeah, John,
You
I
can
forgot.
actually see it on the ground.
John Perkins has red daytime running lights too, and he has not been pulled over for yet, and he's had them pretty much as long as I have.
Well, you know, that's the thing too. You know, like here in Georgia, like it's illegal as well, but also the plate thing. Like Jeremy has a plate on his, like a painted plate that's you're not supposed to alter your plates or anything. And I know he doesn't drive his cars much, but I've seen other people at shows that have them that they
Yep.
tell me they don't ever take it off.
Yep.
That they don't ever get messed with. But you know,
Yeah,
again, I mean, that's
we
a
saw
chance you run.
what's
Yeah.
his name, Batman at
Oh yeah,
Supercar
Batman.
Saturday,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
asked
Exactly.
him about it. I said, "Have you been pulled over?" And he said, "No."
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Bill Miller says, "Heck, he should have made you do a strip search. He did not like your Corvette. He must have been a Mustang fan." Yeah, he was he was over the top. Like I've had, some experiences with police officers, but honestly, that was probably one of the worst. He was just super over
Wow.
the top. Like he made it sound like I had just murdered 3 people.
Was he like, do you know what's going on with your red lights here, meow?
Right? I wish somebody would do that, man. I would die. You're very welcome, Steve. Like I said, that's what this show is all about. It's about asking questions, sharing ownership items. I mean, what I just went through with this maintenance thing on my car, this is definitely something I wanted to share with you guys because I go in for an oil change and a transmission filter change, and I come out with a recall and uh, a wire harness fix. Like
Yeah.
this is how it goes. So these are the things you want to keep an eye on, and this is the stuff that should be shared amongst the community so we all know
Yeah.
what to watch for.
Yeah. And when I got the letter, I went in to ask them about just ordering red seatbelts, and that's when they told me about the parking thing as well. They're like, "Oh, you have this on your car too,"
Yep.
and I was like, "Okay, well, yeah." So, yep.
And that's actually a good item on its own, David. If you guys get the seatbelt recall, you can talk to them and have them put red seatbelts in instead, or any color seatbelts in instead of your
Yeah.
black ones, if you want to
Yep.
do that. Are they charging you for it? I'm assuming
Nope.
free.
Well, so basically, they're gonna have to replace the part anyway.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, they don't have them at my dealership anyway." And they're like, "Well, we have to order one." And I was like, "Well, if you're gonna order one, why don't you just order red ones?" They're like, "Okay." It was the same price. There's no
Wow.
difference between red and black on the actual part number price.
Yeah.
So
See, so this is again something great to share with the Corvette community. If you guys
Yeah.
want to change the color of your seatbelts, you can do it for apparently nothing if you have that
Yeah,
recall.
because I told him
pending.
I'd even pay if there was an upcharge. I was like, "Yeah, if it's a little bit the part difference, like between the black and the red," and he looked it up. He's like, "No, there's no difference in price." He's like, "We have to order the black one anyway." He's like, "So we'll just order you the red one." I was like, "Cool, thanks."
That's very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Seawolf Z06 says, I don't have a front license plate on my car, and it's required here in Ontario, Canada. No issues with being pulled over so far.
There you go.
That would be tough for me if I lived in a place that needed a front license plate. I would never.
Me too.
I would never put it on. And I'd gladly pay the ticket. I'm not putting it on.
I would say I would pay that ticket over and over and over again, 100%.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I would just keep paying it. Like yeah.
That's a great
Well,
question.
And,
Professor Corvette says, so why do the different color seatbelts cost more than black from factory then?
because it's money,
I'm going
baby.
to say the answer is because.
Because it's money, baby. That's right. And to get this seatbelt, you have to upgrade to this interior. And blah,
Yeah,
blah,
right.
blah. Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Super 8 Creation says, are the techs good about letting you watch your car while they're doing service on the car? Normally, no. However, the dealership that I go to, number one, has a vet tech on, or a Corvette tech on hands, which means good things for me. But it's also set up in a way where every bay is outside and every bay is its own garage door. So I can stand outside of the service bay and still be 5 feet away from my car. So if it was ever an issue, I'm still good. But
Yeah,
the
so John Perkins says his tech Joe does, but my where I go they do too. So and they were like, hey, because they know I have a YouTube channel because they looked it
yeah,
up when that I had it in when I had my sticker on the car. They're like, yeah, if you ever want to film anything for YouTube, just let us know ahead of time so that way we can plan on you being around and a little bit more time because it
yeah.
does take a little bit more time when you film stuff. But yeah, they're cool about it where I go. So
Well, this guy's been really cool about it. His name's Greg.
he seemed awesome.
Yeah, and he actually, I asked him, I said, have you talked to anybody, since I was here last time? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I had a guy come in here the other day. He says, hey, you're famous. You know that? And he said that he was on the Horsepower Obsessed YouTube channel because I was there a year ago. He's the one that did my very
Nice.
first service on the car. And I was telling people, this guy he was cool. He knew what he was doing. He let me back there with a camera, which number one, that's huge. Because some
Yeah.
places, I've been places where they literally will not let you even watch them. And those are the
Right.
places I question. Because if you're not going to let me
Exactly.
watch you, that means you're doing something you don't want me to see.
Yep. Yep. And again, too, like you said, I mean, I understand you don't want everybody back there, for their
Right.
Chevy Cruze or whatever else it is. But I mean, if the first thing you guys need to do, any of you here that own Corvettes, I don't care if you've got a Stingray up to a Z06, up to if you've got a 01 in order, your dealership better have a vet tech. That's the first thing. Like there is a difference between a dealership that has a legitimate, experienced Corvette tech
Yep.
and one that does not.
Yep.
And then if they're really sketchy about letting you see stuff or look at stuff, or you might want to think about that. But Corvette Tech is number one.
So
Absolutely.
I called around a lot of places to try to find a dealership that had a Corvette tech.
Yep.
And the one in Cranberry, which just so happens for me is only about an hour away from my house, just so happened to have one. And other than that one, couldn't find one in Pennsylvania, period.
Yeah,
So
man.
I was
Yeah.
like, the fact that I found one an hour from my house is fantastic, but don't think you're going to find this very often because they're not that plentiful.
Well, and I got lucky as well, kind of like you. The dealership it's like 10 miles from my house. It used to be like one of the Southeast's biggest Corvette dealers. They're not that anymore, but because they were such a Corvette specialty place for a long time. This guy's been there a while, but they actually have had more than one vet tech because they were like, people come all over the southeast because I mean, you used to drive past when I first moved to Georgia, you drive past, there would just be rows of Corvettes, just rows.
Yeah.
This place was amazing for it. So I got lucky in that. And the guy that I've been dealing with, he's been really awesome so far. And the service people just in general, say, like you said, swapping out the color on the seat belts and just,
Yeah.
generic stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds awesome too. And that's the thing
Yep.
is like, it really shouldn't be any other way. I mean,
No.
the stuff that I'm having you do with it's not like I'm breaking stuff and bringing it into you and expecting you to fix it for free. Like everything I'm
Right.
doing, and it's the same with you guys. Like we're not doing anything illegitimate. Like it's stuff that is just normal maintenance. LT4
Well,
Powered asked if Greg is a subscriber. I don't think he is. I don't know that he even messes with YouTube, but I would hope that he would. If nothing else, just download YouTube long enough to subscribe to me. I don't know.
well, and that's like I was talking to Brandon the other day too, because when we were talking about your video, right? We're like, oh my God, have you looked at yours? Have you looked? That's how that went
Yeah.
after we saw your video. Like, but we were talking about like the LT6 and this platform in general is not your father's
Right.
LS or LT motor. Like, this is a whole nother level, and these
Yep.
these vet techs, it really makes a difference, guys. It really makes a difference.
It really does, because this is not a motor that you can have your grandfather or your dad come out and help wrench on. Like these things are completely
Exactly.
different than what they knew back in the day. But Professor Corvette actually had a really good idea, and this is exactly what I would do if I lived in a state that required front plate. My vanity plate would say no front plate. I like that a lot.
I would. I'd pay that I'd pay that ticket over and over and over again. There's no way I
Every
would put
single
a front.
time. I told
Yep.
Amber the same thing after I got pulled over for the red lights in Ohio. She's like, "Are you going to take them out now?" And I said, "Nope." I'll pay that ticket
Well,
every time.
it's
I
not
like
it's
them.
not like an actual moving mileage. You're not getting points
Right.
on your license. You're just
Right.
paying the ticket.
Right.
So same thing, man.
Yep.
Same thing. I'm gonna go with. I like Jeremy's plate, like the way it looks,
Yeah.
the way with the black. I'm gonna actually do my plate like that, and then and then I'll see if I get a ticket. I know out here I won't, because the good old
Yeah.
boys out here where I live don't care at all. But like maybe in Atlanta, if I go through, maybe
And
we'll see.
I would probably be in the same position where I probably wouldn't where I live, but I would as soon as I venture out of this area. The only reason I have two options basically. I either do that plate maker route where
Right.
they, make it look really cool, or I have a license plate cover that's so tinted that you can barely see the plate, because
Right.
the Pennsylvania plate is bright white, bright yellow,
Yellow.
and blue.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah,
that
that
matches
doesn't.
nothing on my car. It looks
Nothing.
horrible. At least give me another option. Like, give me a PA plate that's at least black or at least dark colored, and then I wouldn't need
Right.
I wouldn't need to hide it.
Right.
T Pino says, just ordered my Z06 2 days ago. Can't wait. Congratulations, man.
Congrats,
You're gonna freaking
man.
love it.
Congrats. Yeah, if you want to get hyped, go listen to that last racing video where that's all you hear is Brandon's F1 exhaust for
Yeah.
like 3.5 minutes straight.
Yep.
Mighty quick. I like that one, 10 seconds,
Yeah.
06.
Yeah, I got
That was a good one.
Did you get to meet him at Carlisle, David?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, because he brought the beer.
That's right, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, LT4 powered. He says bring back the Dare plate. So anybody who doesn't know, Pennsylvania
In Pennsylvania.
we used to have the
Yep.
Dare license plates, what
Yep.
was it? Something about against drugs, or it's something about drugs, anti-drug usage.
Yeah.
But those Dare plates are now so rare because you can't get them anymore. You can actually go on eBay and buy them for a couple $100s.
Wow.
Yeah, like literally
I had one of those when I was young.
when I was young.
I did. That was the thing, man. I came to the high school. They were like Dare and all that shit. And you had
It
them
was
for
a nice
your,
looking plate. It was black.
It was a good looking plate.
Yeah,
man.
so you can go
It
on
was-
eBay now and buy them for a couple $100s, and they're like 5 or 10 years old, and somehow they're
Yeah, I had 'em-
still the registration on them still current enough that you can just continue the registration. But it's
Oh,
like,
nice.
you shouldn't have to do that kind of stupid stuff. Like, give me a
No.
good looking plate, because like
Yeah.
Te-
There should be
Texas
multiple options.
Texas has, from what I understand, they have two plates. One is white with black letters, and the other one is black with white letters. And I said,
Right.
why can't it be that simple everywhere? I mean, that's super easy. It's
Right.
the most basic colors in the palette. Let's do it.
Right. No, yeah, I had an old Cobra, and the plate was snake bite or snake bit or something like that. So, I know,
God.
on my Dare plate.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that was definitely old. Oh man.
There, drug avoiding resistance education.
Drug
There you
abuse
go.
resistance education. I don't know. Apparently, we have a lot of different
They were
ideas
good
of what that
looking
stands
plates,
for.
though. I remember those. You know what, though, Justin? The white with the blue and the yellow are better than the old blue plates
Yeah.
with the yellow lettering. Those were freaking awful.
Well, that's the thing is, Pennsylvania has, other than the Dare plate, Pennsylvania has never had a nice looking license plate.
Never.
Have you ever seen the Delaware license plates? Those are really cool. They're literally
Yeah, I saw some when I was
ceramic.
working in Boston.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not aluminum. They're ceramic, and they're a little bit
Yeah.
smaller than a normal license plate.
Yep.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Who's
Ollie,
going to be
you
at
guys have a
Supercar
lot of
Saturday?
plates in
Ollie,
Florida.
I'll be at Supercar Saturday, and David might be. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it. I have to see how work pans out this week, but I'll probably just do like last time and just ride down on the train and catch you.
let me know. I'll
So-
pick you up.
Yeah, I will, bro.
Nothing worse than Florida plates. We have an orange on it. Imagine that hanging around with a $200,000 car on a plate with an orange on it. I mean, yeah, it's not great, but my experience in Florida is that cops in Florida don't care about anything. Literally nothing. And so I feel like if you did anything with that plate, they wouldn't even care. As long as your numbers were still legit and they could pull up your plate, I don't think they'd give a crap
Right.
at all.
Right.
And that's the thing is, like, with the plate makers thing, I don't even see why that's illegal. The plate maker, you can literally make the exact same plate, just a different color. I don't see, and it's still reflective and everything. Like, I don't even get why that's illegal. All
Yeah,
right, so
it's probably an old, like, stuck in,
it is, yeah,
Yeah. So
one of those old time laws that makes no sense, but we're not going to change it now, kind of thing.
No.
Ollie says, David, pull up. I'm going to be there. And if you need a ride, I got you. There you go.
Yeah.
We'll have him give you a
Yep.
ride.
No, it was a blast the last time I was down there. It was awesome. It's just like, and the bright line helps because I can get from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale in a couple hours. It's not bad at all.
Professor Corvette says YouTubers should have special plates for immunity. Good God. I'll tell you what. I mean,
I'd be all about
I'm not
that.
gonna. I wouldn't say no, but at the same time, that's definitely not what.
Well, my
should
buddy
happen.
with the AMG that I'm going to do the runs with, he said my plate should say I'm filming.
I'm filming. Yeah. All right, guys. I think we're over our time here by a good bit, so we're gonna wrap
Yep.
this up. But
Yep.
hopefully, you guys learned something about some maintenance items. And as usual, horsepowerobsessed@gmail.com. You can comment on any of the videos. Same with David. If you want to comment on any of his,
Yep.
we're more than happy to help you out with any of the maintenance items that we know about or that we could help you with. Feel free to ask. Worst that we'll tell you is, yeah, you know, and we'll
And we'll
put you
get
in the
back
right
to you.
direction. Yeah, we'll put you in the right direction,
Yeah.
and or get back to you if we find out the answer. Yeah, but that's what this whole thing's all about. It's about hanging out and talking Corvettes and figuring things out. So this is basically a forum. That's what it ultimately comes down to. If you guys,
Yeah.
it's something you can get an answer a lot quicker on and stuff like that. Again, check out the memberships of the YouTube channel here, guys. If you want to do some stuff with some more one-on-one kind of stuff, the memberships are going to be where it's at. But
Yeah, I'm excited to see where you take that, Justin. I really am.
I am too. I
Yeah.
honestly, I
Yeah.
never really gave it a lot of thought until YouTube mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, okay. Remain
Awesome, man.
obsessed. Professor Corvette
Yes.
says, stay obsessed, guys.
Stay obsessed.
That's a good way to do it. So, guys, we'll see you same time, same place next Monday night. And as Professor Corvette says, remain obsessed.